Hello and welcome. So I thought I'd make a video on Aquacomputer components because this is something that's been bugging me for a while. So we're in June 2021. So how do you know what components you need from Aquacomputer to support either a single loop or a dual loop build? There are so many components on the Aquacomputer website, and a lot of their older components, which have been replaced by newer revisions, still have the older versions for sale. And that makes it more confusing because you don't know where to start. So hopefully that's what I'm going to simplify today. So get yourselves a brew, buckle up, and we'll go through what components I have here. Okay, so in no particular order, I'm going to talk a little bit. This is very much, this isn't planned, this is just me waffling on, but hopefully you might get some detail from this. So everything starts with the Aquaero monitoring solution. So that would be, let me move the camera down, the Aquaero 4, Aquaero 5 or Aquaero 6, which is this unit. Basically, this is the brain of your fan control, water pump control, sensors, monitoring, and so on. You would connect this to your motherboard by USB, and there's loads of videos already on YouTube about unboxing of this and so on. So I suppose what I want to do is to articulate for you what you need today as opposed to the entire back catalogue. So I think there was a Aquaero 3, Aquaero 4, that's still available on the website, and Aquaero 5. And again, revisions changed, they added more features. The big thing to note really, which you'll be interested in now, is the difference between the Aquaero 5 and the Aquaero 6. So this is the Aquaero 6, and the Aquaero 6 is the latest Aquaero. The Aquaero 5 had a number of problems with heat buildup due to the IC design. It wasn't a malfunction, it was intended, but I should say the Aquaero 6 has a better internal circuit design to cope with heat and power output as well. Basically what that means is the Aquaero 6 is the right unit to simplify your build from a Aquacomputer perspective. You don't need any add-ons. With the Aquaero 5, if you had a very complex Aquaero setup, you would have this unit, and then you may have needed to add on some extra mini boards which are called Poweradjusts, which may control additional pumps and so on, because the Aquaero 5 wouldn't have been able to cope with it all on its own, or it certainly would have had, you would have run into issues. And that meant more sub boards, more power connectors, more cables. That just made all of your planning, things that you needed to purchase, far more expensive. Now I actually had, for the loop, effectively, and I'm not showing the system, but the loop that I'm planning here, I had the Aquaero 5 and the Poweradjust, so there were even more boxes than this. But I sold that, I got it on eBay, and the Poweradjust, and replaced it with this to simplify the order of operations. So if in 2021 you're looking for a brand new setup, forget the Aquaero 5 unless you've got a relatively simple loop. It may well handle it, but if you've got a dual loop, dual D5s, tons of fans, sensors, you will want the Aquaero 6 and forget anything else. You then do not need Poweradjusts or any of the daughter boards, if you will. They're not actually daughter boards, they just connect to this, but this is the one to get. Now, this unit comes in 3 different flavors. So this is the base unit. This is called the Aquaero 6 LT. They do a unit up on this, the next one up, and which adds a display. which would then mount in a 5.25 inch drive bay. And then they do the Pro as well. Actually, I've got them in the wrong way around. The Pro is the one with the screen with buttons on the side. The XT is the one up yet again, which contains a touch screen and also has an IR remote as well. But you can check that out on the website. But if you're not interested in having a screen on the in your 5.25 inch bay, you can mount this anywhere. And of course, all of the capability is provided through the Aquacomputer Aqua Suite software. So put this in your machine, hook it up to all of the Aquacomputer components, connect it via USB to a USB connection on your motherboard, run the Aqua Suite software, and away you go. So how does this unit connect to all of the various Aquacomputer components? Well, they've got a proprietary connection mechanism called Aquabus. Now, it's worth saying some of the components from Aquacomputer also connect via USB, but for each component you can get the right version. So they either sell a USB version or a Aquabus version as well. The USB versions tend to be slightly more because they'll contain both the Aquabus and the USB, but primarily for simplicity you want to connect to the Aquabus. Now, as you'll see here, there's a high and a low. The high is the one you would be using. The low pretty much isn't in use anymore. It's for some of the older components make use of the low connection. Sensors, standard temperature sensor. You get a whole bunch of them. You can connect them here and put them throughout the case, so on. Also got a heat spreader for this, because even with this, the temps still get quite high because it's PWM controllable as well. So that'll just lock onto there. Away you go, and it's connecting power through Molex. So you've got Molex power straight to your PSU, and then USB connection to your motherboard, and that contains the link. From there you make connections to your various Aquacomputer components. Away you go. So let's talk a little bit about some of them. So in no particular order, I'm going to try and have a look at what I've got. Some of these boxes are empty actually. Okay. So Splitty 9, again, this is really useful for connecting fans, but also, crucially, you can set this to share an Aquabus connection. So effectively it will become an Aquabus splitter as well. If you've got multiple connections over that, send the RPM signal back as well, and then you've got the input as well. Again, you always tend to get a Aquabus cable with this. Now, there can be a limitation to the number of connections you can make by chaining off the Aquabus high. So what Aquacomputer did, they came out with an add-on board called the Aquabus X4. Basically, you can think of this as a splitter, but it's a bit more intelligent than that. Because it's got some internal circuitry, it makes a clean connection across each of the four connections that you can see here. So rather than it just being a splitter splitting the signal 4 times, they're actually unique channels to provide it a cleaner signal. So that will clip onto there like that. That now gives me 4 unique channels for the Aquabus. So again, for anybody new, what do you mean by that? That's sounding a little bit confusing. Yeah, it is. You have to check per component. So one of the components that you can't just daisy chain is this. So temp sensors. So I've not even opened this yet. Let's have a look. There we go. This is a relatively new type of temperature sensor from Aquacomputer called a CaliTemp Sensor. Basically, this is a digital temperature sensor which you put in your loop. You connect it there through to the Aquabus connection and connect it to the Aquabus. But I don't believe you can connect more than one of these per channel. So if I just had one connection on my Aquaero and then split it using a splitty 9, this wouldn't work. It needs a clean channel connection. So you need to use this X4 board because that now is effectively 4 distinct Aquabus channels. So I could daisy chain off that one and connect other components which do support daisy chaining, but then I've got 1, 2, 3 connections left for a direct connection to these CaliTemp sensors. Now, CaliTemp sensors are relatively new, and as I understand it, basically they're a temperature sensor with better resolution. So the quality of the temperature reading that you're getting is better than their previous version. So speaking of their previous version, I have that right here. So these are standard G1.25 inline temperature sensors. Again, they're obviously not a digital reading. But these will just connect up directly to the temp sensor along the top there as well, like you can see, that we talked about before. So a different mechanism for temperature sensing, but I've got 1, 2, 3 of these, and I've got 2 CaliTemp sensors. In all honesty, I'm not probably going to use these. I'm just going to use, I've got 2 loops, I'm going to use 2 CaliTemp sensors. I might add these 2 in, don't need them. The temperature of the loop will equalize, so it doesn't really matter where we're checking the temp, it's going to be relatively the same within a degree. So that's that. It's worth also talking a little bit about pumps. So this, to me, is the best pump that Aquacomputer did, and they don't do it anymore for some weird reason. Well, I know the reason, so I'll show it to you first, and then we'll talk about that slightly. So this is a D5, but this is both Aquabus and USB, and you've got a temp sensor and alarm out of the bottom of it. Now they've discontinued this one and replaced it with their D5 Next, which has got a load of RGB on it and a screen, and basically is a little bit more money. So yeah, but this is the one you want. This is the best sort of standard D5 you can get, if you can still get hold of it, because of the connections you've got on the bottom here. Of course, because you can go straight to the Aquabus, you get all the monitoring and so on with it. But yeah, it's just a standard D5. You can see the magnetic impeller there, and if I plug that back in, there you go. Okay, what else have we got? So flow sensors. So yeah, that's these boxes. Highflow sensor. If you look at flow sensors on the Aquacomputer website, there is a load of them. Ignore them. The only one you need to know for 99% of people with a standard loop or standard dual loop is what they call Highflow. There are some other MPS sensors which measure different pressure settings and so on, but for the vast majority of users, this is the one you want, the Highflow sensor. I say this is the one you want. They've just recently come out with a Highflow 2 sensor. So just explaining this one, first of all. Inlet, outlet. There's a impeller in there, and of course the water goes through, turns the impeller, comes out the other end, and you've got a proprietary connection for the sensor there. It's not I think it runs on the Aquabus, in terms of internal circuitry, but it is not the standard Aquabus connection. There's a separate cable which supports that, which you'll get in the box. Any of the cables you can buy from Aquacomputer as well in different lengths if you need to make it more lengthy, which I've done. So the Highflow, this is the Highflow original. The Highflow 2, the only advantage you get with that is it comes inbuilt with a CaliTemp sensor, and apparently the resolution on the impeller is greatly improved. So that would be the one you'd want to go for. And unlike some of the other products that they've got, I didn't see this one for sale on the Aquacomputer website. So the Highflow 2 would be the one you would want to go for. And I've got 2 of these in for my loop. Yeah. Okay, so we've done the Aquaero, we've done pump, we've talked about the Aquabus, Highflow Sensor, CaliTemp sensors. The other one to mention, which I haven't got here, it's already in my rig, is the filters. So you get a load of instruction manual as well. So I've got 2 filters, 1 filter for each loop, and they're great. I'll put a picture up of that while I'm talking here. But they've got an inlet and an outlet which is stacked above each other, and in the middle between the inlet and outlet you've got a small metal mesh filter, and you've got a piece of plexi along the top which you can see. So the water comes in, goes through the filter, the mesh filter. Due to the design of the filter, it spirals. So in, spirals through the filter down, and then pushes outward. So hence inlet and outlet. And you get 2 ball valves to close that off as well. Looks great, got that on the unit as well, it's a nice touch. Do you need it? Probably not, but I just think it looks really nice, and it's something else to tweak with. We're all people who like to tweak and play around with a lot of the gadgets from our water cooling build. So one thing I bought additionally is these little LED lights. So the back of the filters, you'll see you can actually put in this insert. So you can buy the plug for the bottom of the filter. You can get these clear plexi ones, and then you take this, you put that in there, and then that goes in the bottom of the filter, and it'll shine an LED light through and look quite nice. So I've got a couple of these different length cables as well. You have to make sure with the filter you get the right one of these as well. For whatever reason, they stock or they provide a slightly smaller size. So again, just check what you get in the box won't necessarily be the right one for this. So I think I ended up paying about £8 or £9 to get another one of these for the right size, or 2 of them. We've done high flow. Yeah, and then there's a whole load of cables that you'll accumulate as part of this, splitters and so on. It's all part of the ecosystem. I suppose the only other thing to mention is this, which is the Vision. I bought this. Again, this is just a nice little add-on for visual monitoring. Some people may find this slightly outdated now in terms of the look and feel. I just like it. It's a little desktop stand, and I've not even unboxed this, so this is the first time I'm unboxing this, and it connects via USB. This effectively is what you find on top of the modern, this unit, on top of the latest Aquacomputer components, such as the Next pump, D5 Next, or the Cryo blocks as well, where you get this. They've taken this unit and put it directly into the blocks, but they also do it in this nice chrome desktop unit, which you can put on your desk. And that, I tell you, that is heavy. I mean, that's not light. That's some serious chunk of metal there that weighs. You drop that, connect that to the back. That'll connect straight up with the Aqua suite, and of course you can fiddle around with everything on your desk, which looks quite nice, I think. So I think that is primarily it from the components that I have. It's worth also saying, you know, you'll see on the website, just don't be confused by the Aquaero and which one to go for. Go for the 6, go for the LT if you're not interested in having a screen in the bay. Something I haven't mentioned, which is crucially important, the circuitry of this board does not change between the LT, the Pro or the XT. The only addition you are paying for with your money is to get either the screen with buttons or the screen with touch screen controls and a remote. If you're not interested in having a screen, just get the LT. It's got identically the same circuitry, so the way it will operate, control of your pumps, fans, the features, the functions, it's identical. And this is the latest one. If you get this, you won't need a lot of the add-ons they're currently selling on the website, such as additional heat sinks, the Poweradjust, and so on. The only thing this doesn't do to a great effect is RGB. So it does, you can connect RGB as you see there, but you will notice as well something else that is quite confusing from Aquacomputer. So in terms of RGB, traditionally we have RGB 12 volt, which is the older standard, and that will let you just change an entire strip from color to color. And I think that is what this uses here on the RGB connection. And Aquacomputer brought out what they call FarbWork. You may also see it known as ColorWorks. I think FarbWork, somebody may correct me, I don't know if this is true, but I think FarbWork is the German for ColorWorks. FarbWork original was their 12 volt proprietary, well it's not proprietary, it was their 12 volt mechanism to support RGB strips. They've since brought out FarbWork 360 and FarbWork Nano. They use addressable RGB at 5 volts, and the addressable is the important bit there because it means you can control each of the LEDs individually and make them different colours. Now, of course, there is a standard aRGB at 5 volts. Aquacomputer have their own proprietary version of that called RGBpx. It doesn't do anything different, it is just their proprietary version of aRGB 5 volts. Now, on the Aquacomputer website, you can get the FarbWork 360, which looks a little bit like a Poweradjust just in terms of the dimensions, but it is just a little daughter board. It doesn't connect to the Aquaero through Aquabus because Aquabus won't support the voltages needed to sustain RGB via USB. But of course, it all comes together in the Aqua Suite software. And you can connect the RGB strips that they sell. They also do another daughter board, I forget what it's called, which will allow you to connect other manufacturers' aRGB strips from the likes of Corsair or any of the others, I forget the names, but you'll be able to do that as well. So that's the only thing I'm thinking I might get is a FarbWork 360. And again, they do a smaller version called the FarbWork Nano. It just depends on how many LEDs you want to control. I think it's like between 90 and 136, or something like that. I may have got that wrong. Check it out. But yeah, FarbWork 360 or FarbWork Nano is the one you want. RGBpx is just their name, Aquacomputer's name for aRGB at 5 volts. And yeah, I think that is about it. I don't think I've got any more to talk about with the filter. We were talking about filters, so that's the filter, that's the mesh. Obviously, I'll have put a picture up anyway, so you'll have seen that. But yeah, I think that's it. If anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to do a follow-up video. Yeah, happy water cooling in 2021. Catch you later.